We are all entangled in natural systems, in technological systems, in the systems of our own bodies. Fashion is the surface where these systems meet, the border between us and the world. Where ecologies entangle. I think the concept has drawn a lot of people from very different places and people that I never thought I'd meet. I know a lot of people that are trying out new skills for the first time because they're really excited about this theme and the concept of a digital arts fashion show, about fashion that can move, respond with the wearer, response with environment, about fashion that can be more than just fashion.
I come from an art and a filmmaking animation background. And when we were making a project, a lot of people working together towards a common goal, that stress and excitement and creativity that came within those the boundaries of what we could do and how much time we had and being under, with certain limitations, it was so exciting. People came together in a way that I had never seen before. For me, production has always been the highlight of my life. It's a big part of why I wanted to start the DALI Lab, so people had that opportunity to work in teams towards a common goal. It's why the fashion show is exciting. Put on a show. I mean, it's something we don't get to do very often. It's really an experience like no other for people, no matter what, right? That excitement that comes and people coming together to watch it and celebrate it with you is super exciting.
I think this is a really unusual class for the computer science students because first, there aren't so many classes that are just focused on one particular project, and there are even fewer projects that are focused on any particular event. So I think it's really unusual and cool for them to have such a big event with an audience at the end of the term to be working towards, and also it might inspire some of them to continue doing creative work or art. And sometimes it's really reassuring to find that other people find it cool as well. I'm co-organizing the fashion show with Helen and handling a lot of the design work, the graphic design and the web design, and also teaching a class this term, CSDA 27, so mentoring a lot of students working on their projects for the show, and I'm also making a couple of pieces for the show. I've been surprised, or at least happy with the variety of interpretations of the theme, and every piece is taking its own unique direction, and everyone has found all sorts of different technologies to incorporate, from different types of lights to different types of sensors to different types of movements to incorporating different methods of sewing and knitting, garment creation in general. So I think as a whole, the show will showcase just a huge variety of different technologies and also different old school hands-on sewing technologies, which is very cool.
I know some people that have never worked with textiles at all before, and this is their first time trying it. The people have been learning sewing. People have been learning pattern making for the first time. People have been learning laser cutting, 3D printing. Yeah, I know some people that have never worked with Arduinos or code or solenoids before, and their dresses are motorized and they're doing cool effects and dramatic transitions.
I was like, well, I watched enough America's Next Top Model, should be good. When you're going to buy something and you see that, oh, look at this cute t-shirt or cute pair of pants, it's super cheap. Like, that's awesome. You don't really think about what all goes into that. You just think about getting something cool for a pretty cheap price. Obviously, the Entangled Ecologies theme made me think about fast fashion and all the garments that end up in landfills because of that sometimes never even are worn or only get worn once or twice before being thrown out or donated. And so I was trying to think of the best way to try to represent that on a dress while also being sustainable. And the best way I thought to do that was collecting t-shirts, old t-shirts from people, because I know from personal experience through school or through events, you get handed a t-shirt for some event, for some thing that you only wear once and you never wear again because it's just for this event and it's made of cheap polyester that you don't really want to wear again to sleep in or anything. And so I knew I had a lot of those laying around my house from my older brothers and from myself. There's an actuator in sort of at the waistline of the dress, like in the middle of the dress, there's a loop that hooks onto the actuator so that the train is completely off the ground. And then at the press of a button, the actuator goes in and the little loop is released and lets the train go. The train is meant to sort of represent the landfills that are just filled with clothes that get thrown out after never even being worn sometimes. Like a lot of the stuff that goes on in the fast fashion industry in terms of not just the environmental overconsumption, but also like the labor and ethical component to it is kind of hidden from consumers. It's hard to accept that that's the reality for a lot of clothes that you're buying. This is like only my mom is coming. She's probably the only person that's gonna realize this, or my friends who are from where I'm from. But this shirt and this shirt are from a football game that my high school had against our rivals every year, and my brothers went to the rival high school, and so this was one of their shirts, like making fun of my school for the football game. Then this was my shirt for the football game that was making fun of their school. I think it makes it feel more like personal to me, and like not just like anybody could create this. It's like kind of more unique.
We just have a tendency of separating something as purely nature or purely man-made, and that's essentially not true because like they're all entangled. Like how would we have technology if we didn't have nature, right? Well, I'm making a plastic crochet dress with a circulating water powered by parasitic pump and Arduino LEDs that light up the dress, so it looks more fun. So my vision was to have the model kind of symbolizing mermaid trapped by fishnet. So it's mainly about human waste and how the plastic waste we're throwing into the ocean is affecting the marine ecosystem. And because we know that the model symbolizing the mermaid is human, we can kind of also see that the all the waste problems that we cause might come back to us by affecting us, like microplastics, you know. Initially, I would say my design was far more complicated in a way that I wanted to integrate the water pump and water tubing onto the dress instead of making the model carry it. So because the pump and the battery itself were pretty bulky to put on the dress, they were almost dragging down the dress, which is not desirable for the real fashion show. So I changed the plan in a way that the water pipes are actually made into an accessory bag instead of attaching them to the dress itself. So the model, as she or he walks, like they can carry the battery and the water source as well for the pump.
Entangled Ecologies encompasses so much, but when I first thought of the idea, I really thought about how complex our own bodies are. And we walk around in day-to-day life, and there's this whole network of systems and vessels and veins pumping in and out of each other. and I wanted to express that in my piece. So that's kind of where we have the whole like veins on the outside concept. I like that this is a wedding dress that's real, and I got this dress from Listen for $50, and I tried it on in the dressing room, and it was just the most beautiful dress that I've ever seen, and it really like made me imagine myself on my wedding day, and then kind of tying in the more gory element of the blood being on the outside. It provides kind of a juxtaposition that, I don't know, makes me feel, I don't know, I guess I leave the audience with that question. What does it make you feel like?
The dichotomy.
The dichotomy of it all. It's striking. Yes. I thought that it would actually be a lot more difficult of a technical challenge to take on. It really just is the peristaltic pump. So it's just taking the liquid in and out of the same tubes, and it's just one big loop. The hardest part was really just trying to loop them all to look cool as a corset. I'm also still working on the corset mechanics, so it feels like it's actually cinching. But I think that, yeah, the worst challenge of it all was like working on all of these little interconnected pieces here and laying them out well.
This is an idea that I had first maybe 10 years ago when I saw an event at a SIGGRAPH, a computer graphics conference, that did this combination of art, fashion, and technology. And I thought it was just amazing, and I wanted to capture that moment here at Dartmouth. So we did this about 10 years ago, a couple of years of fashion shows, and it felt like a good time to bring the fashion show back. So I sort of spearheaded that, and then let the students and let the DALI team and the digital arts people and Zenovia take charge.
And I guess when Lori came up with the idea to do it again, she thought of me, and I was super excited when I was approached by her and Helen. The students always hesitate in the beginning to design something out of nothing. They have to come up with an idea, and I asked them to think of a wearable as a sort of architecture, mini architecture, like smallest out-of-the-box architecture that responds to the socio-ecological context around us, especially their own lifestyle. So in the beginning it is intimidating, but when they come up with the first ideas, sketches and models, sometimes out of cardboard, they get very excited about it. Design makes sense only if you are improving something. So these are opportunities to improve something, whether it's for oneself, for the relationship, our relationship with the others, with the nature, with technology. It's always about improving something, and this is just a small opportunity to make that happen.
Stained glass meant a lot to me when I was still a member of the church when I was little, like just being on a Sunday morning and the light shining onto you. And I thought it made sense for the project since they're part of buildings, and now I'm just making it a wearable with the same function, and maybe it'll get the same emotion as it did when I was little. One thing we talked about is a little bit of the function. There were some people who had like, I think mostly in architecture we had kind of like mechanical functions. Like we had the kid who did like a laptop holder, and another girl with like a shoe to put like, she could open and put her phone in. For mine, the function is really just strictly emotional. Like this is something that, you know, I liked when I was little, and maybe someone else will, you know, also like the light that shines from it. Dover, they're one of the architecture TAs. They asked me about how the light was actually oriented when I was in church, and I was like, oh, I sat here in the pews and the light was facing this way. And so they were like, you know, it might be a good idea to actually make it the way it shone onto you. And I agreed that it was a good idea. So I decided to make it so it was, you know, like the way that it shone onto me when I was in church.
Yeah, I've been sewing and designing clothes ever since I was 8, maybe even younger. That's when I made my first dress, I can tell you that, my first thing. I feel like it's always been something that's been very cathartic for me. Also, like, annoying at times, but overall cathartic, and it's how I've always expressed my creativity.
Fashion was, I think, might have been my first love. When I was younger, I really wanted to be a fashion designer, and I would get all of those books of the little models, and I would draw whatever designs I was feeling that day, and I remember I'd bring it on the playground, and I'd be sketching on the playground. And I watched so much Project Runway. When Netflix would send you those discs in the mail and you could watch them, and I would watch so many episodes.
I've really liked making clothes whenever I can't find something specific that I'm looking for in stores. I really like being able to control every part of the process and choosing the yarn or the fabric, the particular colors and patterns, and then choosing the exact silhouette and just being able to create whatever I have envisioned in my mind.
The fusion of technology and fashion and design is such a fascinating place. I always love the tension and creativity that happens at those overlapping disciplines. And in this particular case, it's powerful because we're talking about fashion. Fashion reflects who we are, like how we dress says how we are feeling that day or what the weather is, and also how we want to present ourselves to the rest of the world. So giving students the opportunity to have control over their technology through fashion, that's kind of exciting, and I'm excited to see exactly where the students take that.
It's so difficult to allow people in and see who you really are. And being able to wear it and show it in things that you choose every day is such a wonderful privilege that we have to, as humans, to be able to put on clothes and show what we're feeling and show who we are.
Coming here, I was like, all right, well, I guess that was just something from childhood that I now have to move on, be a grown-up, do real-world things, whatever. But I feel like doing this project has actually made me kind of realize more, even outside of this project, that like fashion is something that I can do, like, for an actual career.
DALI Lab, and everyone's like organizing this, so I just felt like I need to take part of it because this is like opportunity for me, right? Yeah. So many of my friends encouraged me to participate.
And I really wish that I could have had more time to explore fashion in college. I was an engineering major, so I've been taking mechanical engineering classes for the past 5 years. And I was really happy and excited to have an opportunity to combine two things that I really love. And it's just been something really fun to work on. And the people who are also working in the fashion show are incredible in making beautiful pieces.
I would love to make this an event that people at Dartmouth know about, something like Technogala or other regular events that happen every year, so that if people come here and are interested in fashion, then they know they can take either my or Zenovia's classes or at least work on a piece for the fashion show.
These are not just costumes and clothing, they are sort of like ideas on how to change life around us. But yeah, to think about how we can, go beyond the conventional and beyond like the commercial trends that drag us to consumerism, but to something that expresses individuality, identity, and most importantly, how we relate to others in the environment around us.
So as technology gets smaller, I think we're wearing it more. The idea of wearables, and so how do we take that and not just make it functional to help us know whether we slept well last night or whether we're getting enough exercise or our stress level, but how do we take that wearable technology and make it art, make it something that we want to wear, something that reflects who we are. That's something that drives this fashion show.
That makes the concept of Entangled Ecologies really unique topic to explore because you can also think about what does art mean, what does nature mean to you, where does technology come from, and how are technology and nature intertwined in human world.
I think the show overall has a very upcycled, people encouraging people to upcycle. So I hope from that people are encouraged to upcycle things, whether it's clothes or not, but just not to throw something out as soon as it breaks, to try to fix it or try to create something new out of it.
I hope they are impressed with all of the great work that the students have put in over the past several months or year in some cases, and I hope that they leave thinking about the possibilities of incorporating technology of all sorts into fashion, and hopefully they're inspired to get a little funkier with their own clothing.